All right, there we go. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well, feeling sharp, and are ready for what should hopefully be an interesting trading day, but I'm not counting on it, right? Kind of expecting today to be a little bit of a nonsense day. We're getting a decent move here overnight or a decent buy the dip here overnight. But we're really going into Jackson Hole here today, and we're dealing with some Trump speak as well, right? So I say that in maybe a negative connotation a little bit here this morning because it just creates an uncertainty in the market, right? When Powell talks and Trump has the opportunity to effectively respond, like that's the closest the stock market gets to a rap battle. So not really sure what to expect from the market here today. We've seen kind of weird PA so far this week. So I would probably imagine more weirdness, right, is in store here today. That would just be totally reasonably expected. And if we do get action here, it should happen early and it should happen quick, or it's not going to happen at all for me. This is going to probably end up, I mean, it almost feels like it's inevitable, but in hindsight, this might end up looking like a very tradable day. So like on Monday or Tuesday, right, you might see a big daily candle and you're going to think, oh my gosh, what a range we had on NQ and ES. But I think that the way that we're going to get there, or the catalysts that would be needed to create that, are relatively rare. Now, I'm not necessarily a fortune teller here, or I can't really look too far ahead into the future, but I imagine that Powell's going to be saying, can't look too far ahead about rate cuts. If data tells us that rate cuts are necessary, we're going to do it. Everything is on the table for September and beyond. And then Trump is going to say, Powell's too late on rate cuts. Our economy is strong in spite of them. I can't wait to replace them, right? It's effectively going to be that narrative here. And we'll see, right, where markets want to kind of relax or establish themselves once that is created. My plan with that here today, right, is understanding that two sharks swimming in the same water, right, creates a lot of froth and a lot of bubbles. And not sure I really want to be hyper aggressive here today. I see very limited reasons to do so. One, Fridays in low volume summer environments usually suck to trade. They're usually the worst. And don't want to get stuck getting rammed by a algo order on some Trump comment or Powell comment that the algo has seen or reacted to before I've even seen it. So I really want to just protect myself, right, against some of those like potential downsides. My priority here today is I'm going to watch the market first 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, and just kind of get a gauge for it there. If I get enough volatility or enough interest or enough enthusiasm, maybe there's a reason to continue trading. If not, probably be a little bit too early for a margarita, but I can definitely go have a nice coffee somewhere. So let's go see what the market has in store for us here today. Hopefully it's a day of enthusiasm, and if not, well, so be it. We'll trade the market that's in front of us. So first things first here, right? It's just a day of Fed speak and a day of Trump speak and a day of Jackson Hole. So that sounds kind of weird. But yeah, President Trump at 12, Powell at 10. I have no idea how long Powell's going to speak for, maybe an hour. We'll see. And yeah, hopefully we can get ourselves a little bit of something based off of that. Now, main concern here is we just got a decent move overnight. Generally, overnight, big overnight move tends to be a little bit of a like later in the morning type move, right? Which doesn't sync up very well for us with Trump and Powell speaking here in the second half of the morning. But yesterday, inside bar, right? We did nail that. And we're looking just for consolidation breakout here today. I'm a little bit peeved by it, like kind of making a bit of a fake out. And so we're looking 64.20, nice. And then up in Adams towards 64.40 and like 64.80. It's already a relatively big move. So it should be a little bit interesting. Yeah, Chandler, I hope I made that clear. But yeah, Powell at 10, Trump after at 12. And these times are subject to delay. They're always a little bit late. No respect. And then we're going 64.80. All right. To the downside here, 63.60 is going to be our starting point. I mean, 63.80 is not terrible. We'll say above 400. And then that makes a little bit more sense. All right. The old NQ inside bar again, right? Like I said, I got to find a way to be able to bet on inside bars. I feel like that's my easiest edge. Maybe not my best one, but it's my easiest one. All right. I'm kind of saying probably fake out here around 300. So, off of 23,000. So ORB fake out and breakout boards, and we're going to look like 23.4. Yeah, 23.4 as our starting point. And then to the upside, we're going 23.5 up towards like 23.9. That'd be a huge move if we get 23.9 today. I would be very, very surprised. Okay, and then downside, we're looking towards 23,000 and maybe a fake out at like 23.3. And then we're looking 23.2 probably as our starting point here. And then looking for a move down towards sort of this big low on Wednesday, right? So 23,000. And then we'll go to the yellow lines. We'll call that 22.7, and that's plenty of space. $23.3 should be covered by the indicator. Don, right? To the upside, I'm asking, right? That's what you mean, right? Yeah, so like opening range, we're at 257. The range would have to be 25 points or less to not get me to 2,300. So it should happen, right? So that's why. All right, CL, green candle, decreasing volume, gap up. So 2 out of 3 there to the upside without volume. And we're looking for a move towards 64. And then to the downside here, we're looking for a move towards 63. Cool. Yeah, not super enthusiastic about CL. Like, I don't know if I'm going to touch this here yet. It still kind of seems like it's a disaster to trade. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge, I guess. All right, Apple, red candle, decreasing volume gap up. So 1 for 3 to the downside. Tesla, inside bar. Microsoft, green candle, decreasing volume, technically a gap up. We'll call this a weak 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume, and it's a 1 cent gap up, right? So let's not get too carried away here. Amazon, red candle, decreasing volume, gap up almost at yesterday's high. Nvidia, green candle, decreasing volume, gap down. So 1 for 3 there. Well, a little bit hate the narratives to a certain extent, right? If we've already looked at our leading names, maybe a little bit of weak selling pressure on Apple, consolidation on Tesla, weak buyers on Microsoft, weak sellers on Amazon, big sellers on Nvidia, big sellers on AMD. So we're getting a different narrative pretty much everywhere. Doesn't quite help with the chop theory. Okay, Meta, inside bar again. And then the old Netflix inside bar times 2. So double inside bar. And then Google 195 hanging out. This sets up mean reversion. 1 for 3 to the upside. And not a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. And then the old Vixaruni 16 spot 4.5. So implied range of about 1% here today. We're ish at that on the upside, right? So I want to be a little bit patient there. But yeah, let's see what's in store. How's everyone feeling today? Good, love to hear it, team. So already, right, I know now my indicators are going to cover that 23,300, right? It should be already there. We've seen pretty big opening ranges here so far this week. Been interesting. Like 65 points on a 1 min is quite a lot. Handle on a 1 candle is crazy. And then kind of same thing like yesterday, right? We're trying to use the first little bit of the market to kind of judge what its personality is like. Is the early move or is the first move choppy or is the first move clean? Not going to judge that on the 1 min time frame. I'm going to look to judge that probably on like the 3 or the 5, right? But something to very much keep an eye out for. And then the same general instruction, right, as yesterday. So yesterday we were kind of expecting a pretty choppy day. That's exactly what we got. And we basically only made money because we were willing to eat those like Halloween sized candy bars, right? Like we were taking little bites out of things. We weren't being very, very aggressive and we weren't holding out for home runs. So same instruction, right, as I gave out yesterday morning. I'm going to say it a little bit later here today. is I want everyone to be exceptionally selfish taking profit here this morning, right? Don't expect things to necessarily be super smooth or super quick. So if you're green and you're happy with it, right, and it's moving fast, take it and run. It'll be better to be impartial than to be stuck bag holding here today. And that for me, right, is going to be very, very important. So if I do get a trade here today, which I'm not sure if I will, 50-50 probably, I want to be very, very aggressive in protecting green. And just want to warn people right here today before we take any trades that things could change dramatically, right? If you're waiting for me to say that I am out of a trade, just like yesterday, right? Where a 10-second difference could be $500, right? Or it could be more. So be very, very selfish here today, team, please. And yeah, hopefully we can go from there. I haven't tried to place a trade anywhere else, Brady, but I'm not having any issues looking at other tickers. So hopefully that's clear to everyone, right? Be very, very aggressive and selfish taking profit. If a trade is strong, it'll give us more than one chance to enter. And it's better to miss a little bit of a move than to get crushed. So it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. August historically is like seasonally one of the worst months of the year. It's also historically one of the lowest months of the year. So kind of expected to a certain extent. When they talk about like summer trading conditions, it's kind of the dog days of August, like we're in right now, where everyone's on their last holidays, everyone's like still holding out for their last hope of summer. And so it does get a little bit choppier. It certainly doesn't help that we have the president and the head of the Federal Reserve having public arguments. And so I think that also creates a level of uncertainty. The markets, they don't necessarily care about like if a narrative is good or not. They more care if a narrative is clean, right? So right now we have very unclean narratives or like very dirty headlines. And that makes it hard for the market to move, right? There's no clarity there. There's no consistency in those stories. There's no whatever. And I think that creates environments where chop is a little bit more likely. So probably a little bit of both, all things considered. Okay, so ES with a fake out so far. And Q, not so much. And Q still consolidating. So decent rejection, but still nothing tradable. And again, right, not necessarily expecting today to be like the world's smoothest of days. Already kind of feels like price is stalling a little bit. Like the longer something takes to break out from the opening range, it's either going to be like a big delayed pop or it's going to be like an old expired firework. Kind of don't know. All right, so there's your first higher high on NQ. I would not be opposed to trading this early and aggressively, right? Would not have any issues there. So we got a little bit of work to do though, right? It's got to go increasing outlier, got to close above the opening range, and then our target is already going to be actually 400. I feel like you guys can probably judge how good my sleep score was the night before based on how reasonable the analogies are. When I start to get into like, old obscure concepts, I'm like comparing World War II to the Holy Roman Empire. That's when you know it's been a manic night. Okay. Doesn't seem like we're going to go. So I track a couple ways. Yeah, I do have one of those 8 sleeps. And I have like a smartwatch. I've got a Garmin smartwatch I use for running that I track my sleep score on too. More than anything, all I really care about is getting enough deep and REM sleep. If I get enough deep and REM, then I'm usually feeling pretty good, feeling pretty sharp. And so I want like an hour 20 of each. That's kind of what I'm going for. Okay, I can't trade these yet. Yeah, I think I've said this in the past, but I think for me, trading goes better, or my trading is better too. Um, where like if I treat myself kind of like a pro athlete and I take care of my um diet and exercise and my sleep well and really focus on like those elements of recovery, I feel like it makes a really big difference in my ability to basically maintain mental capital. When those elements deteriorate a little bit or I get lazy there, my mental capital gets drained very, very quickly. And that's maybe the hardest thing about being out west is on those days where you need like that recovery. You got to be in bed by like 8. And that's hard to mentally wrap your head around sometimes. So not enough volume yet. We just got to wait for that volume. So unfortunate. I would not be opposed to trading this on the 2. Let's see if this can hold above 300. Okay. So I'd be looking like this. Stop loss would be 304. Reference price here would be 315-ish. So 11 points of risk. Okay. So watching here, team, watching here. Well, we just needed to see volume, right? So we didn't have any volume on the breakout through the opening range initially. We have it on the 3 min now. So we were just waiting for the volume to show up first, right? More than anything. Okay, guys. So I am in average price 314.75, 314.75. Stop loss 304, and I've got 2 contracts here. $314.75 has retested that price. There it is again. Let's see if I can push here. Maybe taking a little bit longer than I would have liked so far. Yeah, and I just got stopped out on that. This might set back up again. Try this again potentially. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe 296.25. So it was the right idea, just the timing a little bit faked out on that. That's very annoying. Try this again. Fuck you. All right. So we're looking at a 318 stop loss here. 23, 318. How do we get faked out like that? That's ruthless. Okay, so I'm watching here again. I'm watching. Okay, guys, I am in kind of a sloppy price, 227.50, or sorry, 327.50. It was a very sloppy price. 327.50. I've been stopped out. Ooh. And now we're definitely looking for rejections. So, all right, 2 quick hits, 900 down. Is this going to be another fake out lower? That's crazy. Okay, can't really do anything with that. Sucks that it's still giving me the same nonsense here. Crazy. All right. So, I mean, it's going to be back in business here. Ooh. Two of the dumbest fake outs I've seen in a while. Okay, so again, we've got increasing volume here. I prefer the aggressive. Keep the sizing tight. So we're looking at a 330 stop loss. Okay, and watching closely here. See if it finds support. Otherwise, this might be making a little bit of a fake out possibility here. There's the fake out. Let's see. Okay, so now we're looking at a 323, 323. And that'd be 320. Okay. So now we're looking for the pullback, guys. Now we're looking for the pullback. And it's going a little bit too fast, I would say here. A little bit too fast. Yeah, that's better. It doesn't seem like it wants to find support, and then it does that big bounce. All right, so still watching here. 310 for now. Trying to find a tighter risk reward though, right? This it's not perfect. Well, I mean, risk reward's fine. Hey guys, I am in 318.50, 318.50. Stop loss 310. 318.50. Get another stop. 160 on that one. Oh, it was a bullshit candle. Okay, so is this going to be our little fake out spot here? Hey, Rusty, how's it going? It is a very weird, weird market. You got Jackson Hole, and then you got Trump talking right after. All right. Well, I think it's too much trying to force it here. So far, minus 12, 13. Okay, so we're watching here for sure. So 276 on the short. Hey guys, I am in short here. 262.25. And I've just been stopped out again. What is going on today? That's 100. What? Holy, Powell had the market ready. What a rip. Holy shit. We play the squeeze. 452 would have to be the stop. Unlikely to get it. Crazy. Wow. I honestly can't believe it. Holy fuck. That was a face ripper. Nah, well, we got some work to do here, team. We got some work to do. Let's go, Eric. Nice work. insane move. Okay, again, so we're still watching here, targeting 6. I'm having some weird visibility here. All my orders disappeared. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "When I see a bubble, I want to jump in." That's George Soros. Very, very interesting. Crazy. Can't get the risk reward there to justify it. One heck of a move. Holy smokes. Okay, so we're looking at a 1 contract play here. Stop 509. Oh, now lower. Never mind. Maybe. Okay, 491. 23491. Not the right reaction. I'm gonna wait. What a rip. I mean, I almost prefer to play this to the downside a little bit. $260 or $560 now. Crazy. They're insane moves. All right. Okay, so looking at a 555 stop loss. Okay, guys, I'm in 576.25, 576.25. Stop loss 555. Just one contract. That's so bouncy. Hmm. Took the stop again, and I'm getting fucking slaughtered. Just these, every trade is faking me out. That's crazy. At 3 plays to the upside, each one of them has stopped me out. I'm struggling to comprehend that a little bit. Like bouncing 10, 15 points at a time. It's crazy. We were going to get that 15-minute attempt here. Starting to be a little bit of insanity. So 582 would be the stop loss. Okay, I'll try this again on the 2. Okay, so we're looking at 612 as a stop. Let's see. Just want to see it fake out lower first. Okay, it's not going to give it to me. Okay, guys, I am in. Average price 623. Average price 623. Stop loss 612. You gotta be fucking kidding me here today. I'm green early on everything early, and then it stops me out. That's infuriating. But it's early for like 2 seconds. Infuriating. Why do I bother on Fridays? Honestly, I'll have to review, but I'm struggling to comprehend. I've been stopped out on every move to the upside. I honestly don't understand. Just from like a philosophical perspective, it seems so unlikely. All right, we'll be watching here to the downside. Well, I don't think it's got anything to do with that. I'd be trading my system regardless of if I was doing this or not. So it's just a sometimes you just deal with the variance like that, right? Sometimes your trading feels personal, not. Sometimes it can be. We do have a nice little rejection setup here going on. We'd be targeting, I mean, fuck, you'd have to just be going low a day here. So we have the setup for now. Okay, good close. 629 would have to be the stop on the pullback. That's too far. Let's go, Logan. Nice work, man. Crushing it. All right, guys. So I am in short here, 557, 557. Oh, fuck. The one trade I do get right here flushes right away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, team. So let's see if this thing can keep flushing here, but so far so good on this trade. So far so really good. I have done a pyramid. My average price is now 548. Average price is 548. And this thing is flushing, guys. That's 3K on this now. And I have 4 total contracts with that average price. 4 total contracts now. Okay, guys, I am out at 501.25. Out at 501.25 for 41.17.84. I'm sorry about that, team. I'm very sorry about that, guys. Okay, so this is setting back up, right? Let's focus. We've got another continuation signal here. Not over, right? It's not over. Well, I think honestly with Sonia with my entry, like it literally was the second I called it out, it was 10 points lower. So I don't know if there would have been one. So that's why I'm apologizing. Like it was, I kind of bought it on the downtick, not on the uptick, and it literally flushed right as I bought it. So I'm sorry about that. For sure needed it, but it's a hollow win. Because if I'm the only one who makes money, that sucks too, right? That's not fun. We should all be making money. That's the whole point here. So hopefully a few of you did catch it, but yeah, I do apologize, team. Ugly, ugly morning. Fucking disgusting win. Let's go, Eric. Good job. Glad to hear. And good call to close where we did. Yeah, that was yeah, it was a bit greasy. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, glad to hear people are green. I'm sorry, Brady. So gross. Ugh, messy, messy day. And the PNL on my screen looks really good right now. But it feels, yeah, it feels empty. Like a little bit over 2K. A little bit over 2K on the day. That win was 41-17. So like almost 41-20 on that. Let's go, Herschel. Good job, team. Okay, glad to see some people are also green. That makes me feel a little bit better. But I did feel like I was the only one who caught that, so I'm very sorry. It was not my intention. Not really. It'll depend on like if there's a consistency rule right now, if I was doing an eval for sure, I'd want to make sure I'm not exceeding, at least on top step right there, 50%. But I don't generally like to cap my upside. Now it's pretty rare that I'll be sitting and trading, aggressively once I'm up already $1,000 or $1,500 or something. So it'd have to be kind of a scenario like today where a big win happens faster maybe than you expect, and you just take it and you run. But yeah, no, I mean, I for sure feel as if I like got kissed by a leprechaun, um, like just super lucky, right? All things considered here to be green. That's kind of like the way that it feels a little bit. So I'm not gonna risk making that worse or like ruining my feeling on a weekend there. Flirted with that disaster for sure. So I don't really want to keep pushing that way. I'm like 1 for 5 or something. And it was a win. And it was a huge win. But it's been kind of a bullshit market. And it's already back to way above entry price. So it's like, where's the follow through? So I'm worried about getting whipsawed to death with Powell and Trump. So I'm gonna be patient here. I'm not gonna do anything else. Sorry about today, team. So pyramiding is effectively the opposite of averaging down. So if averaging down, right, is adding to a losing trade and making your average price lower, right, or less than your entry price, pyramiding is adding to a winning trade and pushing your average price to be greater than or larger than your original entry. So my original entry rate on NQ was like 557, and I was able to pyramid into 4 contracts to bring up my average price to be 448. And so I added to a winning position. That's what pyramiding means. There's a video in the Discord inside the Start Here channel that explains that concept in a lot more detail. I would recommend reviewing it as it's a big part of my trading to a certain extent. Because on days like today, it allows me to be able to take a lot of shots and still be green, albeit does feel a little bit greasy to trade that way sometimes. What time frame, Doug? What time frame were you trading that on? Sounds like the 3. 10:15. So you're treating this as your setup, this as your confirmation. Ideally would have liked to have seen, I mean, we played the really similar idea on the 5, right? So not too different, but I would have preferred to have seen the red confirmation candle. Yes, this is TradingView. You can see it here. Again, Rod, I would recommend referencing the videos in the Start Here channel of the Discord, as it'll answer all of those questions for you, show you how to set up your chart to be just like mine, and kind of answer all of that stuff. So I would really appreciate it if you would go through that material, as it prevents me from having to answer the same question 30 times. Yeah, reach out to your DTR advisor. They'll get you set up. When you purchase your trial, you would have been emailed the Discord link. Hey, KB Harris. Just want to say, man, great to see you in here. Hope you're having yourself another good trading day. And congratulations. Good to see you're seeing a little bit of progress and you're crushing it. That's fantastic, man. Congratulations. Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to say that bears are in control, right? Until you have a bearish confirmation candle, right, Doug? So like this, it's at least bullish, but it's still bullish, right? It still holds higher highs, still a higher high, still a higher low, still closing above the previous high of day. There's a lot of reasons there to think, hey, I should be pretty chill, right? Or I shouldn't be super confident that bears are in control. Once we can fake out close as bearish control and then close as larger volume, right, than the previous bar, then we've got an indication that bears have won from a volume perspective and a price action perspective. And so it's a lot easier to have high conviction of good follow through. So like you trading that on the 3, right? Like me seeing that set up on the 3 min was the reason why I switched to the 5, right? So it's like, okay, I'm seeing bearish characteristics, but I don't have enough confirmation of that idea. Let me see if another time frame is telling me that story. All right, so it's almost good enough on the 3. Let me wait the extra 2 minutes on the 5 and get that trade instead. Make sense? Any other questions here, team? Any other questions? Weird week. Weird week. Look, I am not generally a huge fan of the instant funded accounts because I think you have to make a lot more money to get a reasonable payout. Thankfully, we've got a really fantastic member here, Mike, who has put together a spreadsheet here inside the Vetted Prop Firms channel, right, with all the sort of kind of pros and cons there of various like instant funded accounts. So I would reference that resource. I'm not really going to be able to tell you anything like unique relative to that. But my base recommendation would be to not try maybe for the instant fundeds. You end up having to make like 20 grand to pull pull out a little bit. You know, if you're more interested in trying to survive, size down, right? I know it sucks to hear that as advice, but everyone needs to get to a point in their trading with their sizing where you need to like where you stop caring, right? And I don't think that it's so take the 9K, no issues there with that being how much you have to make. We're talking about the instant funded accounts, right? So the instant funded accounts, they just have consistency rules that effectively make it much too easy to fail, or much too easy to have to make a tremendous amount of money to get like a 2K payout. And so I just don't think that's worth it. But if you're wanting to survive, you're needing to survive your learning curve, the best way to do that is to do exactly like Doug has mentioned, right? Sizing down, being able to get stopped out a bunch, and then still being able to finish up the day green, like $400. For lack of a better term, Doug is doing a very good job here being selfish in making sure that he can survive his learning curve. When we keep our position sizing to be effectively as impartial as we can get, that makes a really big difference for us long term, because we can actually learn how to manage the technique instead of like zooming in too much, right, on the P&L. And P&L can be really discouraging sometimes, and it can create like a lot of false confidence. And so again, we need to size down to effectively be able to trade with like a rational view on the market. It's not to sound like an asshole here, right? But when I worked institutionally, I was trading $40 million positions, right? And there's a reason why now with these prop accounts that I'm choosing to trade with a max loss of $500. Like $500, I should be able to take a lot of hits, a lot of mental capital. Like you drain a lot more of your mental capital going big position size, and that prevents you from being a fantastic trader. Well, Sam, I think it's really important, right? We all need to be exceptionally selfish in trying to get better, because trading as much as it is a technical game, it's a psychological game first and foremost, right? So the more that we understand that we all have our own psychological limitations, and we need to slow down to be able to notice them and fix them. That's ultimately how you do much better long term, right? You almost have to delay that gratification when you start. Don't chase for like the first immediate huge win. And once you can survive that, then you have the ability to compound and to go. Just Doug C, right? You can see old dude, you can see him just most recent Doug in the comments above you. So I would recommend that to everyone, right? Be extremely selfish in your learning curve. Be extremely selfish in your desire to get better. And a lot of what that should be for people, right, is getting, feedback on trades, booking one-on-one calls, right? Taking up my time should also be a certain element of your selfish pursuit of improvement. And so I would encourage you all, right, to really focus on those things. I've said this again, and I will say this probably 1,000 times, right? But everything that I do here intraday, when I'm trading, when I'm streaming, when I'm calling out my trades, everything that I'm doing because I think that it's the best thing for me and the best thing for my account, right? Doesn't mean that I'm always perfect in that analysis. I'll oftentimes think that I'm doing the best thing, right? And I probably am not. But that is my starting place from everything, right? On every trade that I take, I'm trying to spend as little time as possible in drawdown. On every position sizing decision I'm making, I'm trying to straddle that fine line between maximizing P&L and minimizing mental capital. And so everything I'm doing is selfishly designed to protect me and to do what I think is best for me at all times. And so I would demand, right, that people pursue that same element of selfishness, because it is very important for us to do what we think is best for us at all moments, right? And oftentimes being selfish in our learning curve in trading is very different than what we think. It oftentimes, right, means being selfish in our pursuit of getting better, means we're putting our ego to the side, right? Or we're being willing to ask for help, or we're sizing down, or we're starting to set hard stop losses, or whatever the pain point that we're looking to fix is. But we need to all embrace those things. The other reality, right, with trading is that Warren Buffett, right, could tell me to do exactly this at exactly this time at exactly this sizing, and I could very well do very different, right, or get it wrong relative to his instructions, because the point of where I break and get irrational is going to be different than the point that Warren Buffett breaks and gets irrational. He'd probably think I'm a pathetic piece of shit day trading the way that I do and reacting the way that I do on some of my drawdown. So it's understanding that I'm not him, and I'm not Doug, and I'm not Nick, and I'm not Samuel, or I'm not Logan, or I'm not Kiki, or I'm not Jen. I'm Michael, right? And so I need to really embrace the things that make me money, cost me money, and all of those things are psychological reactions. And the more that I can be selfish in the studying of those things, generally the faster I'm going to start to see progress in my trading and start to actually compound and make good numbers. And that's ultimately what this game is. Every day when I'm going to trade, I'm going to make a mistake, right? That's almost guaranteed. And on most days, I'm probably going to make more than one mistake. So I need to be okay with being wrong. I need to be okay with losing. I need to be okay with bouncing back. And I need to be very aggressive in managing my expectations around those things. And so that's where the work is in trading, right? The work in trading isn't the trading part. That's like really fun, right? Like I love trading. If I could only just do that, I probably would be broke. No, maybe not broke. I'd probably be a lawyer, but I'd be miserable. I'd be working crazy hours a day. I'd hate my life. I wouldn't have the freedom that I enjoy. And it's the work that we do outside of hours, right? It's the preparation, it's the reflection we do, it's the sometimes the days off we take from the market, right? That really limits our ability to accomplish our financial potential, right? So trading is really fun, and that makes it feel as if we don't need to do any work sometimes. But if you want to make any serious and significant money, you got to have a lot of really uncomfortable and honest conversations with yourself and go from there. And for sure, Sonia, I mean, like for lack of a better term, like I'm a little bit dyslexic, and I don't necessarily have a very good like emotional intelligence sometimes, for lack of a better term. Like I really struggle to interpret tone and whatever. And when those things happen, I tend to impose my perception or my interpretation, and that then, right, is determined by, especially when I'm trading, right, a frustrating day, and you take something that you don't know, you impose that frustration on the comments, and that's rarely a reflection. Bar a very few rare examples, everyone who is a part of the DTR community is a fantastic person to work with, and I enjoy seeing them improve and seeing them get better and really become, excellent traders. And generally, when I get agitated, it's never agitation with others, it's agitation with myself that I failed to contain. And so I for sure owe you guys all an apology in those situations. It's never my intention. And the I had a comment about this the other day. I mentioned something in passing on Wednesday. Where it was like, oh, I figured out what I want to do over the next 6 months to like basically make my transition easier. And someone interpreted that as me like walking away in 6 months. That's not the interpretation that I would recommend people to take. What my objective here with that time period or that process is, I want to automate the trading strategy. So a lot of prop firms like a Top Step, they now allow API access into their execution platform. And so that opens up the door to create automated trading strategies without having to deploy any emotional capital basically on trades. And so what that would hopefully ultimately become, right, would be an opportunity for us to be all effectively auto managing. It wouldn't be AI. It would just be my strategy coded up, right? So all my rules effectively turned into C++ or whatever coding language it needs to be done in. And then basically monitoring during the trading day to make sure that things are behaving as expecting. And so I think that from, yeah, like a perspective, if we could all be able to, or maybe the way to say it a little bit differently is it would be really powerful to have a strategy that runs effectively in the background, right? And would allow us to be more passive, right? If I can create scenarios where I am risking more of my intellectual knowledge versus my mental capital, that for me is a little bit of a better risk reward. And so that's what I meant by saying I want to look into that, or like that would be the transition, right? So I wouldn't have to like call out trades, everyone would be in them, right? I think that would be a really, really cool thing to add to the team. So that's sort of more what I meant from that perspective. I have very little intention to probably ever retire. My probably goal in life here is to probably trade on the day that I die, right? That's kind of the sweet spot I'm going for here. So I have very few intentions to stop playing this game because I love it too much. So it's just about finding ways to be able to play it the best way possible. That's always the obsession. So any other questions here, team? I mean, I'm going to stick around for 30 minutes. Yeah, you say that's on you, but I kind of like that type of work. Like, it's kind of fun to sit down in front of my computer and test and back test, and it suits me. Like I understand that. Like, it just suits my learning style, or it suits the way I like to do things. So, well, we'll see. I've got a few good buddies that I'll reach out for some help from too, and we'll get the G research touch into it. 100%. 100% takes a village. Well, like, I probably could have retired 2 years ago at this point if I really wanted to, maybe 3 years ago if I really wanted to. I don't really have that desire. Like, every now and then on like a random Tuesday, yeah, I'm like, why am I here? But 90% of the time, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. So, yeah, no desires to walk away anytime soon. Just always want to get better. Oh, Sonia, why do you think I exercise so much? It's so that I can eat absolutely everything I want. Yeah, I do. Of course. Yeah, Ghost. I do a ton of long-term investing. Basically, my strategy is really, really basic. Buy effectively every month. So I'll buy once a month, and then every time that the market dips 2% or more, when you're in a bear market, it becomes every 5%. And so effectively, I'm just dollar cost averaging indexes and like a few leading names that I love. And then Q is just micro NQ, right? I was in one of my best long-term investments for a while. I was in Palantir for a bit. I had a buddy who got me in at like 36-ish, and I closed out like 152. So that was really nice. That was really fun. But I tend to not do very much swing trading. I consider myself a pretty passive long-term investor. So like I don't really want to be taking swing trades or positions that would be maybe impacting my ability to be unbiased intraday. Just dollar cost averaging, looking 20 years down the line. I don't think that I would be able to. Like, I don't think I don't think I can have my cake and eat it too, right? Like I don't think I can have a huge edge day trading, have a huge edge long-term investing, and have a huge edge swing trading. I think that they would eat into each other a little bit. So I don't know, maybe that's a limiting belief, but for now, that's kind of my thought process. Nice work, Jake. All right, team. Any other questions here this morning? Weird week. Yeah, you too, Sonia. All right, guys, have yourselves a great weekend. A little bit of a wild one, but I don't know about you, but I think I'm gonna destroy a bottle of wine tonight and a pack of nicotine gum and breathe. So have yourselves a great one here, team. I'll see you all on Monday, and we'll talk soon. Peace.